Hey everybody, it's Corey here with Good Evening Tech, and today what we're going to do is learn how testing works in JavaScript. So we're going to be using a project that I used with the last video to show exactly how testing works. So if you haven't watched the video before that, you're more than welcome to go to my website, copy the code from it. It'll be linked down below, or you can watch the previous video and whatever floats your boat. So testing is a way to control our functions and make sure that they're working correctly. You can give it pretty much any value you want, and bottom line, it just makes sure that it's going to behave the way we want it to. So the first thing we're going to do is open up our index.ts file. And what we're going to do down in our terminal is we're going to create two files. So we're going to create, I'm going to call it funcs and models. So we're just doing this to separate our code out into separate files. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my models. Now if you're using VS Code, when you have a file open and the name up there it looks like it's italicized, that means if you click on another file, it's just going to keep opening them. If you want it to stay open, just double click the name and it'll make it open. So what we're going to do in here is I'm going to go into my other file. I'm going to grab my plate result, put it in here, and then I'm going to export default plate result, and it's going to export it for us. Perfect. Now in our functions, what we're going to do is we're going to take this out and this logic right here and turn it into a function so that we can test it later on. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we are going to import the plate result from our models. Then what we're going to do is create the function. I'm going to call it calculate required plates. It's going to take a weight, a barbell weight. I'm going to set it to 45, and then it's going to return a plate result array. So this syntax right here, if you've never seen it, this is setting a default value to this, which makes it technically an optional value. So if you don't supply this to the argument, it's not needed. It'll just assume that you mean 45. What we're going to do, we're going to go over here, we're going to start stealing stuff. Going to grab that, throw it in here. What we're going to do is grab our results and our barbell weight. Alright, make it indented so that it is happy with life. Then what we're going to do is we're going to we're actually just going to get rid of this whole thing and we are going to rename it. Let barbell goal equals weight minus barbell weight, just like before. And then we are going to make our for loop again. I'm just going to type it out because some of the names changed and I don't want to go through and see what has and what hasn't changed. So go through here. Weight values I times 2. Count times equals 2. Results dot push. Weight values I, and then count, put that there. Barbell goal minus equals weight values I times count, and then we will return the results. Alright, get rid of this extra space right here. And I'm going to show you another way that you can export. So you have this syntax you have this syntax. JavaScript has a lot of ways to do things. I'm just showing you two different ways. There's reasons to do one way over another. Personally, I don't know what they are, but for me, this just, it makes it happy. That I just like the look of it. All right, now we're going to go into here, and we are just going to nuke all of this. Ooh, go all the way down here. Delete, and we're just going to leave that in here. We're not even using this file for this, so it doesn't really matter right now. All right, everything seems to be good to go there. So what we're going to do is go down to our terminal, and we're going to start installing stuff. So the first thing we're going to install is Jest. Jest is a testing library that does a lot of the hard work for us. We just have to provide the syntax so that it'll run tests for our functions to make sure that they behave correctly. And once that's done there, we're going to install a couple other things that help us support TypeScript so we don't have to put our files over into JavaScript for it to test it. It's just convenience. Babel Jest at Babel core, and then at babel.preset.env. Let all of these install at their lightning speed. Perfect. Install. I know you can do all of these on one line, but I'd rather just go through it like this, separate it in the order I installed it. Because what I've noticed is Node is not the most perfect command line interface, where some things can not work correctly if they're put in other orders. All right, now that we've done that, we're going to create two files. We're going to create a funcs.test.ts. You name it the same as the file you want to test, and we're going to create a Babel config file. And in our Babel file, this is just from their tutorial and hooking up Jest. We're going to add this into here so Babel knows what Node version to use, which is our current version, and it knows to use the TypeScript module. All right. What we're going to do is open our functions env. We're going to import our calculate required plates. Then we're going to import our plate result from models. Now what we're going to do, why'd you do that? There we go. I don't know why I did that. We're going to create some test results that we expect. So the first one I'm going to make is going to be 135. So 135 is a pretty easy weight that we know is just 245 plates. And 35, 25, 15, 10, 5, 2.5. Oop. There we go. Just going to add all of those over. So this is what the object should return when we do 135. So we create the results that we know are going to happen to ensure that our function is working correctly. Ooh, not 20. Yuck. All right, now we're going to do this for a couple more weights. We're going to do this for 2 more so we get the idea of what's happening with it. We're going to call this one result 220, and we're going to call this one result 315. So if you didn't watch the video before, what this is us seeing how weights are calculated on a barbell to hit a certain weight. So we created this logic basically to check if you're looking at a weight of 215, 135, whatever it is, it'll let you know, hey, you need to grab this weight, and this weight of these sizes. Why is this yelling at us? Oh, there we go. Simple stuff. But this is what the results look like from that function. So when we create our tests, we're just checking this is exactly what the weights you need. 2 and 2 there. And the bottom one is 6 total weights of that. Perfect. Go through just to make sure I haven't missed anything there, which I have not. All right. Now what we're going to do is use a Babel function, or sorry, a jest function called test. Excuse me. So the first argument that it takes is a string. It's what we're going to present to the console of just letting you know, hey, this test should produce this. Something's stuck in my throat. So we'll use the next function inside of here called expect. So expect is you put in the function, and on the outside of it, we're going to use something called toStrictEqual. So toStrictEqual is a little bit different. If you look at their documentation, there's a toBe method, which you would use for like strings, numbers, things like that. But if you're comparing objects, so like this array of objects, you would use toStrictEqual to check every value and make sure everything looks the same. We're going to create another test. Should be 2 45s, 2 35s, 2 5s. And like I said, this part right here does nothing really for the actual test. It just gives a string value so we know what that test was supposed to do, so we don't have to memorize every single test. All right, and then the last one, 3/5 on a 45 bench should be 6 45s. Go down here, expect, calculate, perfect, 315, boop, boop, toStrictEqual, results, 315. All right, now we got our tests laid out. We are going to open our package.json, go to our scripts, and we are going to add another row, which we are going to call test, name it jest, put a comma there, and we're going to add another thing right below the scripts that comes from jest itself that just lets jest know to interpret our TypeScript files. So it'll let it know to use Babel Jest compiler for anything that ends with the T and the S for JSX. Oh, what's there? It just wanted me to put that there for the Jest documentation. So I don't know if it does anything, but it works for what I've had to use it for. All right, now let's see if everything still works. npm run test. It's going to run through all of these tests for us. Let's see if they work. Oh. 1 failed, 3 failed. Oh. Ooh. I think I know what the issue is. I'm writing something over and over again. 2.5. That's the magic number right there that it needed to be. The entire time writing, I was like, I knew I forgot something. Hopefully this is the issue. Otherwise, it'll be something else, and I'm not entirely sure. Perfect. Look, it worked. Ah, what a time to be alive. So, what happened before, remember with to strict equal, it checked every single one of those tests, and since they didn't have that 2.5 in there, it failed. But now it passed, and this is the screen that you know what it looks like when it passed. But that was actually perfect, so you could see what it looks like when it fails. It'll point exactly what should have been there and what wasn't there. All right. If you guys like the video, please hit that subscribe button. I hope this helped you understand just basic setting up tests and how to use them in JavaScript and TypeScript. And I'll continue to keep making projects with this, and I hope you have a great evening.